Hey everyone, welcome to Weekend Project. I'm Laura Lynn of the Mama Pop Quilt Shop, and we're very happy to see you here today. In the quilt shop, we deal with a lot of batting and a lot of batting bit leftovers and sometimes chunks from customer projects or projects I'm doing. You got a big part of the bottom coming off, big chunks of the side coming off. What do you do with them? Well, they're easy enough to stitch together, and I prefer to do it with just a nice big zigzag stitch, spaced out apart, just enough to get it together. The key is making sure that both edges are flat. So whether it is flat from, you know, a machine cut side and you're putting those two machine cut sides together, kind of get them a little squish, and then zigzag, and they'll definitely stitch it together. There's also like a binding or like a seam tape that you can get. I've had it here in the quilt shop, and I'm going to say I don't recommend it. I find it very sticky and can get gummy up on the needle sometimes. So I find a different texture as to when it's quilting. If you just put a nice little zigzag, it solves the problem really. Or you can do like a little hand stitch, you know, one back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. If that's all you have to do, I'm sure it'll do. Best is to use a matching thread as much as possible. I was going to use colored thread in here just so you can see what I was doing, but I think if we just get close enough with the camera and how I hold it up to the camera, you can see there's the stitch in there, and it just disappears. And you're just holding it together. You don't want to make it a thick zigzag stitch like you were doing an applique or anything like that. You just want it to be just you'll see what makes it comfortable for getting your pieces together. So, and because I get some odd strips like this, because the batting's just usually a few inches bigger than the quilt top, or I try to trim the batting to be you know, utilized as much as possible, you end up with strips and stuff like that, okay? So you can sew those strips together like I did here, and you end up making like something you could use for a table runner, putting many of them together, or you can use it for mug rugs and stuff like that. And there's also little other pieces here too that you could, little square chunks you can use for mug rugs. That right there is an 80-20 batting. This right here is a poly batting, and you will see there's actually many differences in the poly batting as well. Some are definitely thicker than others. And this one right here is super, super thin. Like you could read the newspaper through that. So is it worth stitching together to make something else out of? Probably not. Just because it seems it would just kind of, you know, it's making holes just as you tug it just a little bit. So this is definitely one that I could be just chopped up and put into the extra pile to make stuffing for dog beds and cat beds for the shelters, or even just, you know, your neighbors or whatever you got going on for your own dog as well, right? So it's kind of, I don't know. Unless you want to double it up and use it for mug rugs or something like that, that's probably the only thing I could think of, especially because it's just so thin. And if you wanted, and make sure if you're putting batting together, they are of the same type. So you certainly wouldn't want to put this looser weave of a batting next to this, which is also a poly batting, but you can totally see the difference in the thickness of the two battings itself, right? So, and same with the cottons, the 80-20, the bamboo, the silks, all that. Some of them come in many different weights and thicknesses, so it's best just to match as much as you can. Try and match pieces from the same quilt project, or, you know, if you got a big roll, like I do, I get big rolls, and I'll have lots of random pieces here and there and end up putting them together. So I'll use the pieced battings for the inside of charity quilts, and most times I get a big enough chunk I can use that for a kid's quilt, and I don't have to do anything else to it, but mostly for a charity quilt. So all right, so let's show you how to put just a little, like if you just have the strips like I do here, how to put that together. Like again, I wanted to make sure to stress that you need a straight edge. So this is folded over a couple of times on itself, but I do try and have the edge as close as possible. So you're just kind of nipping off just a little bit of batting, just a little bit to make it even. Okay, and then we'll do the same to this piece over here, and then we'll butt them together and we'll sew them up underneath the machine. So you can see, like, you can make progress with the strips, and you can definitely make a quilt project out of it. Okay, try to make sure you can utilize as much as possible. And then this, we know we cut through all 4 pieces because we can see that there, so that's a nice even cut. That goes off to the pile of mystery bed. Okay. And then here, whether you do it this way or that way, it does whatever's good for you. I'm just trying to nip off a little bit. I think because it's so small, I'm going to go on this side. Push firmly down. This is where it bulks up a bit. So maybe you want to put a weight on it. You want to get the big can of soup or something like that, or tomato, and put it on your ruler to help stabilize it, or even one of those grippy handle thingies to keep your fingers away from the blade, okay, at all times. Okay, so firm press. Okay, and again, we made sure we got all 4 layers. And then we'll take this part here, open it up, lay it flat against this part here, the one that we've already done. Okay, and then we're going to put it underneath the machine, and we're just going to zigzag all the way across here. Okay, except I'll turn it around. I'll put the bigger part to the outside. Okay. And I like to utilize everything I can here at the quilt shop. I don't like to throw anything away. I'm very frugal. I like to find ways to reuse items all the time, or try to get more than one use out of it. So this is definitely something that I do to try and tidy up my batting stash, because I can end up with, if I didn't do it for a year, I'd have 5 or 6 bags. You know, and then like I section them out so I know what sizes or what could be used for other projects that are big enough. So these are like the bigger pieces. I put them in a nice clear plastic bag so I can see them. And then I have other strips where it's just the smaller bits. And I know I could use those for mug rugs, placemats, table runners, all that sort of small stuff. Pot holders. Definitely, I've been making some pot holders with our blue block of the month that we've been working on since January. So, and all that, the one extra block is being made into a pot holder, and I'll have 12 by the end, and I'll have 12 pot holders to give away to people. So excited. Just very simple and easy. You can take it slower if this is too fast of a pace for you. Just getting it pushed together, just butting up those nice, freshly cut raw flat edges, not raw, just flat edges, and not leaving any gap. You don't want any gap in between, because then you're going to have a gap in your stitching. See, and we don't want that at all. We want to stitch nice together like that one there. Okay, so just try and keep it in the center. If you happen to make a hole, here, I'm actually going to purposely make a hole. Okay, I'm going to accidentally get distracted. I didn't see what was going on, and I made a hole, okay? And I'm just going to continue on, and I'm not going to notice until I'm all done, okay? And I'll show you how you can easily fix it just by going back over, okay? Okay. Sorry, tickle. Oh, see, that was a little thin there too. Okay. There we go, show on that one. Just push them back together. That one edge that got missed, make sure you just stitch it down. See, and that fixed that hole, just like that, no problem at all. See? And you can feel the thread, but you can also feel where it's all bound together. You can see that there's no issues. It's going to be a solid unit, and especially when it gets quilted up, whether you're hand quilting it, machine quilting it, or sending it off to your long armor, it'll be no problem at all. I don't mind pieced battings at all, as long as they're done correctly. And I haven't had one that I haven't that has been done incorrectly. So, except for the plastic adhesive one. So, all right, so that is that. Okay, that's for sewing those together. And of course, you do the same principle when it comes to the bigger strips, making sure you have a nice flat edge, giving yourself time and space. You may have to put it up on the iron board, like you're batting, especially if you're trying to make a really big size one. You got a few big pieces, want to make a really big one. There's that too. So there's what I do with also of these pieces left over. Okay, you can see that chunk right there. So I try and line it up and trim it off where it comes to about 2 inches thickness. Okay, so I'm going to go about there. Okay, and that goes off into that pile. Can't really see a use for that except for chopping it up for something. Okay, try and have a flat edge. If you don't have a flat edge, you can make yourself a flat edge. Okay, and then folding it on top of itself. And then I try and cut these strips to be in about 2 to 2 1/4. And the reason why I do it this way is to make fabric rope. Now, there'll be a card right over here that will get you a link to one of our videos that I've made fabric rope and some of the things I've done with it. So you can check out that video. And that's what majority of these small bits are going to end up being, is for that. So I like making the bags, I like making the laundry baskets and stuff like that. And that really can't be used for much else. Like I say, you can chop it up. And then I just keep making a pile and a pile. And it doesn't have to be exact. That's why I say, you know, 2, 2 1/4. When you're making the fabric rope, it's got a bit of a give to it. It's it doesn't have to be bang on. Okay. And some people actually will buy these strips already to do such a project. So if anybody locally would like some, just give me a shout. Okay, and then we know on this part here, oops, got a little. On most of this section here, we could actually probably use a good portion of it. So let's make sure we can still get at least a 2-inch cut. Okay, trim that up. And that's pretty much, no, just for the pile. If you can figure out something else used with the smaller stuff, I mean, let me know in the comments, that's for sure. Okay, there. And then we just end up making little strip pieces and strip pieces and strip pieces, and then just stacking them and making use for them on another project. But I try for very, very little batting to go to waste around here. Like I said, we do it we do lots of stuff for charity. And of course, for the small bits, you can use for all sorts of small little projects. You can save them for 3D quilting, tuck it under something, or wrap it around something. Maybe it could be your paper substitution in a paper piecing sort of project. You know, there's lots of bits and bobs and ideas you could use with the batting. So hopefully that helps you figure out what to do with some of your pieces and how to get them together so you can reuse them for other projects and bigger projects when you only just got bits and stuff, okay? Thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. I hope you have a fantastic and amazing day, and we will see you Saturday at 1 p.m. Eastern for our live stream. Okay, take care. Big hugs.